Sideline of ball. Blake Widow's doing it. They're gonna take. He's gonna bring down Burning. Alone with a double kill. Dropping fast. Monopoint's there. He's still alive. Wait, Oshek is slide. He's got one side. He's got a second. He's taking it. They're all my die on three. They're all dead.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Summit 2 by G2A.com. We've got the European division continuing on for day number 2. We've got 3 games coming up today, all back-to-back, and first up will be Moscow5 versus VP.Polar. Yesterday, we saw both of these teams square off against the Power Rangers. Both of them resulted in wins over the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, so we'll see how they square in this little mini round-robin we've got going on. I'm Zyori, and today I'll be joined by Blaze. Blaze, what's the good word, man?
I don't know if it's the next round of caffeine kicking in or it's this Godblack draft on hand, but I am excited for this matchup here. Moscow5 versus Virtus.Pro. A pretty awesome matchup, a battle for CIS supremacy, as it were, but right here, already opening the gates with something new. 6.82, it's the Medusa Ogre Magi combo. That's one you don't expect to see.
Yeah, certainly not as an opening duo, but hey, man, we've seen our little bouts of first pick Medusa here and there, and I think it's pretty warranted as long as you can build an appropriate draft around her. Moscow5, though, they were a little bit prepared. They brought out a first ban on the Magnus, who, we've seen him paired with the Medusa quite a bit here and there.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of ways to amplify her potential, but no matter what, she's going to be able to at least be an anchor for the game. Everybody, not even it's not just your own team that builds around her, it's the enemy team that builds against her. There are risks at bringing her in this early. You might see some mana burn come into play, or heroes that better maneuver against the Stone Gaze, maybe like a Centaur Stampede, and that kind of thing. But as it is right now, you've got the Bloodlust to increase her attack speed, which means she can really focus on attack damage. Note that means things that are like MKB, a Divine Rapier, that kind of thing, really going to be much more potent in that scenario. And as well, of course, it's just a great hero to bully somebody in lane. You have a lot of HP regen on the Ogre, so you're going to be able to kind of go toe-to-toe very frequently, get some good hard stuns out, and yeah, they even buffed the ultimate there, so you're going to get more multicasts out. So looking forward to see what they're going to get out of the Ogre and who's going to be running it on the side of VP. But yeah, like you said, there's a lot of better ways to build Medusa. You definitely want to build heroes around her. The Magnus is not bad. Shadow Demon would be good because you get to keep her alive longer against heroes like Skywrath and Sand King with the defensive disruption. So reactive heroes and amplifying heroes are going to be the name of the game.
Yeah, certainly right, and we'll have to be a little patient here as these teams take their time. Moscow5 burned through most of their reserve time to settle on the Sand King, so a very aggressive support duo. He'll be able to make good work of the jungle, while they've got that lane dominator in the Skywrath Mage throwing concussive shots and arcane bolts all over the place. We'll see. You know, Root Gaming has been doing a core Magi in the mid lane, and Dakota's been all hyped up about it, and I'm just waiting for my turn to get to cast some core Ogre Magi. But every single game I've covered with him since the patch, he has been in a support role, mostly in the fort, just running around, picking up a little bit of farm, throwing fireballs. But I'm just waiting for that day when someone besides Root will do a solo mid-Ogre and show us what he's all about.
Yeah, I'm curious to see it myself, but no matter the case, however he's played, support or core, he's going to be making an impact. Just the RNG aspect, it's not even that random once you get up to higher levels of multicast. 60% of the time it works every time, and it's going to be really good for locking down some of the cores that Moscow5 likes to pick up. So you get that hard burst. It's not as good, or at least as reliable as a Skywrath, but he brings a lot more to the table as far as being a tanky hero. He's not a glass iron cannon here. He can really roll with the punches as well. But yeah, it's interesting to see that they are going to be banning out the Puck. This is a hero that's played both by Scandal and DK Phobos, so taking that off the table means they do have to be a little bit more direct with their lanes. But they ban out the 2 mana burners. This is what I was talking about before. 2 really good counterpicks to Medusa. The Anti-Mage actually has his issues against Stone Gaze and such, but there's no doubt that the mana break is really strong, and the mana burn from the Nyx as well.
Yeah, certainly. Now, the DK Phobos hero that most of us should be fearing is still in the pool, and that's the Centaur. I think that's his bread and butter. Centaur and Puck are really the 2 that he runs the most, and I reckon VP.Polar may be interested in picking him up here if Moscow5 don't snag him with this 3rd pick. They've already got 2 stuns with their 2 pretty aggressive supports also. So a Centaur who could go in the off lane, maybe get a little bit of farm, grab a well-timed Blink Dagger, and use his Hoof Stomp. That's the beginnings of a pretty solid team that have a lot of lockdowns and abilities to make some space for the Dusa and set her up to be in a good position to thrive.
Yeah, most definitely. So I'm trying to think of the best way to bring this hero down. My personal favorite right now is Elder Titan. Getting the Aghanim Scepter can be a very potential disarming effect that forces you to go for the BKB on the hero that you don't generally want to. And also the fact that she has a lot of armor that can be negated quickly. But I mentioned this a little bit earlier in Phase 1. The Centaur Warrunner gives you a lot of maneuverability against the hero. So it's kind of a denial pick from DK Phobos, as you mentioned. He probably wanted to pick that up for himself. But yeah, with the Stampede here, you're able to, whenever the Stone Gaze comes out, disengage cleanly. And that's going to be very, very important for keeping your team alive and fighting shape between the ultimate CDs. Now, it's also important to know that Godblack can't pick up the Treant Protector here. You don't go for... Well, I mean, if it is the core Ogre, you could, but if it is the support Ogre that we expect it to be, you can't really respond with a Treant for the Overgrowth. So, I don't know if you go back to the old offlane Void or what. There's the ET, though. And, yeah, they still don't have a great answer for the Stampede. I think they do need some control there.
Yeah, definitely so. And the Stampede's great for defensive maneuverability through the Stone Gaze, but it's also good as just a tool to jump on the Medusa before she's really coming online. Also, when Centaur gets that early Blink Dagger, he can put a lot of pressure on Medusa with some smoke rotations. And if Sand King gets his right around the 10-11 minute mark, if he gets some space in the jungle, the Blink Brothers will be in full force running around and trying to make the Gorgon's life a bit more difficult. So VP.Polar, they just need their Scandal hero coming up next.
Yeah, trying to figure out exactly how that's going to work. Obviously, they could put a couple different heroes in the mid that I already have, but more likely you're looking for something utility-oriented, some quick bursts of damage. A Queen of Pain's pretty cool. It works well with the Ogre and the Elder Titan, where they already buff up magical damage, or they just deal a lot very quickly. So that could be fun. Other things could be grouping characters, just heroes that can bring some control against that Centaur Warrunner. The Puck would be great here, not going to be an option, but you could still look for other major disablers and say, okay, well, if you get some level of control, you surprise somebody, you get a Bat Rider, I don't know, then you should be able to outmaneuver. But this Viper does pose problems as far as the laning configuration. Going up against a Viper is not an easy thing in the lanes, and it's going to mean that you're not going to be having as good of a time as far as getting that early CS. And Scandal really is a snowball player. I mean, yes, they have the late game advantage with heroes like ET and Medusa, but all the same, if Scandal does get shut down by the Viper in the lane, then it's going to be harder for him to create space from the Medusa to get big. So we'll see what he goes with. It should be a hero that should go toe-to-toe with Viper. The Razor, obviously, was banned out with the Death Prophet, so he's still going to be looking for options there. Yeah,
I was just thinking, wow, Razor and Death Prophet would have been perfect here, but oh, what a sad story that is. They've both been banned out. Invoker, I think, a smart ban here from M5, one that can do okay against Viper, having those summons in the Forged Spirits, give him a little bit of extra harassing potential and, well, last hitting prowess against that Nether Toxin. I feel like most of the Scandal heroes have been banned out. There have been a lot of solo mid heroes banned out from M5, and actually even a couple on the side of VP.Polar. Blaze, what's left in the pool that Scandal likes to play?
I mean, there are a lot of different options here, but so many are like even counterpick. Like the Templar Assassin would be really bad here because of Viper and Sand King and what they can bring. Later on, the Skywrath also nullifies the Refraction pretty well. I mentioned the Queen of Pain, and that's always a cool choice, but the Skywrath Mage causes difficulty there too. So no matter what he ends up picking up, I feel that they have a decent answer for. But sometimes you just got to bite the bullet and say, okay, they have a good draft. It's very well rounded. They're going to be able to answer me pretty well. But at least I'll bring something to the table when they don't have those skills in play. So
yeah, it could be something a little more elusive, like a Clinks he's played, Dragon Knight, other heroes, or Ember Spirit. Those are some that he's played at least a fair bit, somewhat recently. But after that, we're starting to get down to pretty infrequent picks coming out of Scandal. So I don't know. LC. Okay, that's a hero that can do okay against the Viper. The press your attack, giving you a little bit of sustainability. I like that.
Yeah, and it's also there is one cool synergy going here with the Legion Commander and the Medusa. Legion Commander is one of two heroes that can force heroes to face a certain direction. The other being Axe with his Berserker's Call. In either case, if you have the Medusa behind the Legion when she executes her ultimate, that's going to force at least the Stone Gaze debuff to slow the target, if not keep them petrified. So it's actually a really neat little synergy, and just in general, keeping them at a standstill is going to be big for Elder Titan. So they can combo the duel with the Elder Titan, they can combo the duel with the Stone Form, or they can just find awesome openings. But here it is, the awesome counter pick that we haven't really seen much in this metagame, but I've theory crafted a couple times in my head. I know Dakota's pretty pumped about it as well. The OD here. With the ultimate, that you have to look at the thresholds of intelligence of whether or not it's going to mana burn the Medusa, but if you're at the right threshold, there is so much potential for you to just nullify almost her entire mana shield. And there's also another change in 6.82 to keep in mind. He can pick up an Aghanim's to guarantee the mana burn.
Yeah, you're right. That's an item I don't think I've seen actually picked up on OD yet since the change. I've seen him a handful of times, but not enough to get that luxury Aghanim Scepter. A great game for him overall. Elder Titan and LC obviously don't have too much in the way of int gain, but even Ogre, he's an intellect hero and has notably low int gain. His strength gain is amazing. He's that big, fatty, tanky force, but in terms of intellect, not so much. Same with Vengeful Spirit. I mean, she's an agility hero, for Christ's sake. So this strikes me as just a damn good game for the Outworld Devourer.
Yeah, so we'll see how well they can control him, but I think this might actually be like a safe lane position. OD, obviously they have the options with the Viper where they want to bring it. If they want to bring it mid, they want to bring it safe, but I think if they brought the OD to the safe lane, he could get more intelligence through farm, and that would just give him more opportunities to really crush this Medusa. Another thing is you can always go ahead and use the imprisonment on her when she pops the Stone Gaze, because generally speaking, when she pops the Stone Gaze, she's ready to fight. She's ready to stand and deliver several auto attacks, but if you pop the prison on her when you're making your escape, then she won't be able to get those chasing auto attacks that can be so crucial. So just something to keep in mind, but we'll have to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I would agree, though. I think securing Blow Your Brains farm is probably the right idea, but looks like that's the way they'll do it. I think Tritada generally tends to go mid, if I'm not mistaken. I cast them yesterday, and I'm having trouble remembering now.
Yeah, that's Vigos, by the way. So, I mean, he's going to be trying to make the plays happen. I think mid lane would probably be a really good spot for him.
Oh, I didn't realize that was the same person. Why did he change his name to Tritada?
I couldn't tell you, man. Why does anybody...
Oh, well... Yeah, why does anybody change their name? What does Simba with 3 A's mean? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. But, yeah, Tron will take the Centaur. And yesterday, King R played a badass Lina. He was on the 4, but he ended up getting an Ag Scepter into an E-Blade, and he was just running around shooting the laser left and right, man. He was going full YOLO with that thing. He didn't care if he died, if he was in a bad position. As long as he could zap somebody, it seemed like that's all he was really caring about. King R really earned some respect from me yesterday in his laser endeavors.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of ways to do it. I've actually seen a OD build that involves like Dagon 5 Ethereal Blade Refresher Orb. I've seen it kind of as a pub build. Like I've seen No Tail do it on stream and stuff like that, where you just like, okay, well, you want to just nuke, you want to carry the game. Well, the best way to do that is to drop 2 giant ultimates with Sans Eclipse, to have lasers flying out everywhere, and maybe have a Hex on top of that. Because OD is a hero that does benefit a lot from Refresher Orb and Sheep Stick. So I don't know, it's just one of those weird builds that can give you that extra oomph if that's what you want to go with, but most likely they'll be relying on the Skywrath and the Sand King to do the magical damage. And that brings us back to something that I was talking about in the draft earlier. Does Medusa want to go BKB this game? Because generally speaking, Dusa is one of the carries that can avoid going BKB the most. And obviously BKB is a worse item in 6.82 because it does have limited charges. You can't just buy out a new one when you get crazy farmed. But in this case, not only does Medusa want to go BKB, which I believe she does, pure damage and magic damage going through, but when does she want to buy a BKB? Second item, third item? I don't know.
Yeah, she's one ugly turkey, man. She's got that ugly mug. Oh, man, she's been around the block. You know, I forgot about the Bulba Pro gear. We've got DK Phobos rocking out a little bit of the Bulba rep. Some nice brotherly love there. He's watched one Bulba game. That's nice.
Exactly. Just this one. That's all I needed to know. That was him just learning the hero. You watch Bubble once and you suddenly you're a master. Take notes.
These shoulder pads, though, I'll tell you what. These spikes, or sprites, what the hell? I don't even know which piece this is. The horn? No, not the horns. This back piece, man, this thing's badass. Look how big it is. You don't see this Elder Titan set that often, actually. But he's huge.
He definitely likes to shake it and bake it. He definitely likes to make himself known as he's wading through the battlefield, throwing out those really cool looking ultimates and stuff like that. I was trying to think of like a really significant modification to like abilities. You know, obviously they have arcanas and stuff like that, but Elder Titan's abilities are so damn cool that I don't think I'd want to change something like Earth Splitter. Like, how do you fix that? You could change the color a little bit, but as far as like changing the impact of that spell, it is perfect as is.
I guess you could make the spirit look different, like make it look like look more like a Tauren or something. Show Blizzard who's boss. Vengeful Spirit. Oh, not using the official Summit 2 Vengeful set.
Okay.
All right, Illidan. I guess we'll do that.
Yeah.
He said please, so I guess we'll wait a bit. It's the magic word.
Sure enough. Well, we have a decent amount of time allocated to each best of one, so it won't put us too far behind if we do just wait a little bit longer. But just going out the draft, especially with this OD pick, which is kind of what the entire draft, in my opinion, was kind of hinging on. Who do you think has the upper hand in each stage of the game, early, mid, and late?
Remind me who the Scandal hero was? I've already forgotten.
Just gonna have to give me a second on that one too. I've been looking at all these cosmetics, man. You sucked me in.
Oh no, the cosmetics game. Wait, I got this. It was LC. That's it.
There you go, yeah.
All right. I think the M5 lineup is a little bit better if they can execute. Like, I think this OD, as I said before, I think it's a really good OD game, especially given that the two supports who are normally, like, int heroes that have decent int gain don't in this particular scenario. So I think that, like, I could see 35 minutes in this OD hitting a 5-man Sanity's Eclipse that just destroys everyone, Medusa included. And then it just takes a Centaur to follow up or an Epicenter, and, you know, you've got a full team wipe. So I think if M5 can execute, or if Virtus.Pro.Polar end up in a poor position, maybe get caught as 5, take a bad team fight. We've certainly seen plenty of situations where Centaur can open up a fight by catching 2 with a hoof stomp, taking him down low, and then the follow-up is there to take a really clean fight. So I think execution is the key. M5 have the stronger lineup. They also have the burden of harder to get their ducks in a row. Virtus.Pro.Polar might have it a little bit easier. If Scandal gets that snowball rolling, there's always potential for LC just to get out of control. And if that snowball gets going, creates enough space for the Dusa, then she'll get out of control and kind of get the snowball rolling that way. So I think it's a little bit more on M5 to execute properly, and priorities are securing baseline of farm for this OD, which it looks like they'll do as he's headed to the safe lane.
Yeah, I definitely think that the OD has to get a lot accomplished and just straight up farm. Even I would say, I don't generally say this, I usually hate the idea, but I think the OD might need to go Midas here, just to build up a ton of farm, get those big items out, not just 1 or 2 things will cut it late game against a Legion or a Dusa. He needs to really just bring the whole shebang, stack it up, and be that 4, 5, 6 slotted hero that can really put a dent in what VP.Polar bring. But yeah, beyond that, I think it comes down to the usage of the Stampede for Tron. If they use it to engage and disengage appropriately, VP.Polar, the only thing they really can lock with is their basic stun abilities and the duel. So I really think that that's going to be a key aspect of how Moscow5 posture in these fights.
Yeah, definitely so. Now, just looking at how these lanes will settle down, DK Phobos will take the Elder Titan to the off lane. So I totally agree with your assessment about the Midas on OD. Generally an item that is a big gamble on OD because he's very gankable early on. Sure, you've got the Astral Imprisonment to kind of break things up, but kind of squishy, not particularly mobile, and that's why you'll often see OD go for a Force Staff. And also, if you get the Midas, it kind of puts a target on your back where your opposition knows that you're a hero that you don't really want to give free farm to with an early Midas. And in the safe lane, you're just a little bit less susceptible to those smoke rotations than you would be in the mid. So in this particular scenario, especially against an off laner like ET, who doesn't have that much solo kill potential against a safe lane try, really any solo kill potential, I guess, at that matter, Midas makes a lot of sense here.
Yeah. So we're going to see essentially free farm here to start things off for both the safe laners. I mean, DK Phobos can disrupt things a little bit here with the Elder Titan here and there, but in general, King R is going to keep good zoning on him. And actually already starting with the Aura. This is a cool play. Up top here, King R is benefiting from the Essence Aura that has been reworked a little bit as far as its scaling, and he's just able to spam like crazy. Now going for the Bro Strike. This is first blood.
Yep, easy first blood on Phobos, and it's actually King R that gets the bonus gold, so that'll be a fast set of booties for the Skywrath Mage, and he'll be happy with that. But yeah, the Essence Aura, it used to be, let's see here, now it's always a 40% chance with a scaled amount of mana, and it used to be a scaling chance. So now it is a lot better at those initial levels as kind of a value point.
Yeah, I think it procced it twice there, so just getting those extra, the 40% chance, even if it's only 10% mana, that's about what your Mystic Flare is going to, or sorry, Arcane Bolt is going to cost you. So yeah, you get this almost free spam whenever you're in range of the OD, and this is going to be very frustrating for Phobos if he doesn't get a Magic Stick quickly.
Yeah, he will have boots and some pooled tangos, but he's chewing through them pretty quick. He's at least found level 2 after feeding the first blood, so I suppose that's something, maybe a minor victory, but... down bottom, we'll see Tron. He's in Strug City also. Takes a Fire Blast. Go Black trying to get in position for the Magic Missile. Lil using that big Ogre body to do some body blocks. Medusa getting in position to throw out a Snake, and almost a kill onto Tron. He'll live with about 20 hit points to spare, but it's a damn close call.
Yeah, very close indeed. He'll just make his way back home. Just happy to be alive at this particular moment. Deacon Phobos is going to cover up the top rune. Nice little illusion pickup for him. Bottom rune is going to be a bounty rune for the Ogre Magi. But yeah, in general, it's just been nice movement against the offlaners. Both of them kind of not the easiest heroes to escape with. Like, they're tanky, but they don't have like any natural blinks or anything like that to throw themselves back. They're not traditional suicide laners. They just find themselves in the offlane because they don't really need that much gold. Just a blink start for the Centaur, for example, and they can benefit a lot from the experience. In this case, the Centaur will make his way back, but not the easiest start for him so far.
Yeah, maybe slightly easier for the Centaur because he has that Hoof Stomp, so at least has a reset tool to hoof it away. And there, if he didn't have a Hoof Stomp, that certainly would have been the end of him. That bought him the valuable time he needed, 1 hit from death. Elder Titan, not quite so lucky. He will, however, do a slightly different build than what we're used to. The 0-4-4 is still pretty standard in here. He'll grab an early point in the Echo Stomp, so looking to have that option to break up fights, harass with the Spirit, and maybe put him to sleep for a couple seconds if he can get in position. So we'll see how Phobos continues to round out this build, if it's just an early value point in Echo Stomp, or if he throws a few more in there before he maxes out Natural Order.
Yeah, I think that maybe just a couple of points in Natural Order will be good once he actually starts doing things in an offensive nature. Right now it's just vague harassment and creep clear. If he can last hit with a level 1 Astral Spirit without any points in Natural Order, then more power to him there. But eventually he will need to rank up the Spirit a little bit more, and the Natural Order as well. Another reason why this is a little bit of a weird build is not just because we don't say that often, but also because he's up against the OD. And the Intelligence Steal is going to make it so he almost never has enough mana to get that stomp. I mean, it helps against dives. It is a good skill, but you have to be very careful about how you get your value out of it.
No, that's a good point about the lack of mana. But this build a little more viable. Of course, Natural Order was buffed in the last patch. The level 4 is no different, but the early levels are a lot higher, so it scales a little bit slower, and that first point is a little bit more value than it used to be. Down bottom, we'll see Tron take a stun as there's a battle over the rune, but the Centaur will grab the bounty, and it is Skywrath who picks up the regeneration here in the top position. He's also found his level 3, will work his way back towards the top, and Phobos, he's got 3 stacks of Int Steel, and yeah, he's hurting quite a bit, just enough for 1 Astral Spirit, then he'll be completely dry.
Yeah, so the big deal about the rune control right now means Scandal is going to have to Bottle Crow. In 6.82, you don't get the haste to send your courier back at a relatively good pace, so it's moving around at 300 movement speed, and it does take a while to get back to him to recharge. So it is very important that he looks to the 6-minute rune as something that he can pick up, while the Viper doesn't have to really worry about it. He's not a bottle-reliant hero, can get it sometimes, but generally speaking won't need all that mana. So here he's probably just going to go for tier 2 boots, or maybe even the straight-up mechanism, if that's his prerogative.
Yeah. Initial farms look pretty even in the side lanes. The position ones right on point with each other. The off laners both struggling with still single digits worth of last hits. Tron struggling a little bit more, but all things considered fairly even. Both of them well, Tron hasn't died, so I guess that is the big disparity there. But the mid lane is where it's really at. Viper doing pretty well against the LC. 27-11 versus the 16-2 Scandal. I think, given the matchup, Scandal doing pretty well for himself. He is maxing out overwhelming odds so that he can spam down the creep wave and harass Vigas here as much as he can. But Viper, just that dirty lane dominator that's always a pain to deal with.
Yeah. It's also worth noting that as far as net worth goes, the Sand King is already up to 5th place, despite being a support. He's actually gotten a triple stack already, and is now farming a double stack. The other Titan was scouted out, maybe could use Echo Stomp to cancel it, but doesn't have mana, so it obviously the intelligence still being frustrating for him.
This is actually a triple right here. He's had a lot. Yeah. PGG's had a lot of room in the jungle.
Yeah, and he's actually like just skyrocketing up the net worth. He's trading places with 4th place right now, while the other supports are down below 1,000 net worth right now. Like, he's timing his stacks really nicely. His movement in general through the jungle has been really efficient, and what it comes down to is this Blink Dagger is not even going to take but 8 minutes time. Yeah,
Scandal will grab this double damage rune, but this is a cause for concern. We talked about the Blink Brothers a little bit. Tron will be very slow on his, but if Sand King has one this well timed, maybe he can create some space for the Centaur, and then that'll allow the Centaur to eventually create some space for the OD and the Viper. So this is getting a little bit interesting here as M5 are doing a lot of work in the jungle. Scandal has found his level 6, and with a double damage rune, they may be looking to try and set up a kill onto this Viper. It is nighttime, and they'll get a ward on the high ground as Venge rotates into the lane. Though a nice early dual damage would definitely be good for VP. Down bottom, Tron will get initiated on. Ogre comes in with 2 points in the Ignite. Illidan's there with the Stone Gaze. Tron will look away. Hide your eyes, good sir. And he will not get stunned up. PGG TP's in and will not be able to set up a kill. But
ooh, Goblack.
Yeah, he gets silenced by King R. Chatada coming in, has a Viper Strike at the ready. Doesn't even need it. Viper Strike. Oh, actually, probably should have Viper Struck him. As now Scandal comes in, uses his double damage, and he'll find an easy duel on Skywrath. That's an easy +10.
Yeah, he definitely needs to keep that momentum rolling, though. He wants to find opportunities where he gets a Blink Dagger up relatively early, maybe a Blade Mail or an Armlet to follow that, and he needs to keep his damage flowing out, because these heroes do get pretty tanky pretty quickly. The Skywrath, not so much, but the Viper, the Centaur, the OD, these are tough targets to bring down, and you have to be very high damage output. So this is another one of those snowball-type heroes, and we'll see if Scandal can accomplish what he's already... continue to go with whatever he's done so far. But we do see right now on bottom, Lil is not going to be able to chain up his pulls here as PGG is giving him some grief here. He's at 1750. I'm kind of surprised PGG just didn't farm up a couple more stacks, but since King R is stacking for him, I guess he's not really losing out too much time.
Yeah, he'll have a nice triple in the big camp to retreat to now, and honestly, that camp alone will get him just about at his Blink Dagger, if not there. So he's in damn good shape. Scandal will grab back-to-back runes here, double damage into invisibility, and we'll use it up. Sip the bottle and maybe look for an opening to grab a potential kill. Does have the power treads on the way once he gets a turn on the courier. He does ping out up top for Blow Your Brain, who has gone for that Midas first, as we talked about. #1 on net worth, and that Midas will start to kick in. Oh, courier will fly overhead. Scandal not going to burn the invisibility for the courier. Really wants this OD, and he might be able to do it.
The Sav takes its effect, though, so there's really, unless you get the perfect combo with the ET, he's not 100% confident in. Yeah, they're going to be just turning it on to King R. That's their best course of action.
Yep, and here you go. There's the duel following the overwhelming odds, and winner, winner. We've got an LC with +20 damage at the 9-minute mark. This is pretty damn good news for Scandal. Usually you don't see dual victories this early on before the 10-minute mark, but not a bad start for him. That'll be your Blink Dagger on PGG, though. He's farmed up that triple stack in the jungle, and 9-minute Blink on the Sand King, just off round boot, so about as quickly as possible, but still damn good. Meanwhile, near the bottom rune, Tron will get stunned up, takes an Ignite Fire Blast combo. Goblack comes in with the matching missile, but now the cavalry has arrived. He'll just try to TP home. He'll live, and the Snake will come in. Not going to be able to do much. So both sides will walk away essentially unscathed, except that of the Centaur. He'll have to hoof it back to the well.
Now, it's important to note that Blow Your Brain, with this max Essence Orb build that kind of benefited his teammates quite substantially, he was able to go for 1 point in Arcane Orb, which, because Duel doesn't count under passive anymore, should take effect when he's Dueled, as long as he has it toggled on. But it also means that his Astral Imprisonment isn't as strong. It's specifically a longer cooldown, significantly 4 more seconds. He wasn't able to disrupt the duel between mid lane Scandal. Yeah, they can make the epicenter. He is going down for sure.
They didn't even need the epicenter for that. He was pretty much dead before the damage came out, but still better safe than sorry as PGG comes in, showing off that Blink Dagger and helps secure a kill with it right away. Tritada has also picked up a very early mech, has it right around that 10-minute mark. So this Viper he's ready to fight, man.
Yeah, only has enough mana for just the Viper Strike and Mechanism right now, but he'll build that up gradually, and if he just picks up Treads, he can always switch Intelligence right when he uses the mech and increase the HP he receives, as well as reducing the overall cost. So that's going to be important for him to pick up next, and we also have to, I guess, consider the fact that Viper Strike could proc Essence Aura if the OD's nearby. But for now, Blow Your Brain, he's playing it a little bit low. Like, he popped a salve early on, but the harassment is still pretty legit from this Elder Titan with the Soul Ring. He continues to spam out the Spirit. Blow Your Brain goes down to 300 HP, and although he has the Midas, he has to Cory up another salve.
Yeah, slow going for him, but has his power treads already. Will probably look for a Force Staff, and then from there has a lot of options, but Scythe of Vice, and I think the Aghanim Scepter, although one we haven't seen too much, does make some sense here, as you mentioned in the draft. How's Centaur doing on his quest for a Blink Dagger? Well, not so good. He's got himself Tranquil Boots, 11 minutes in, only 500 gold to his name. He'll find level 6 off this creep wave, so that is great news. Now they'll have the Stampede to work with, maybe some opportunity to get a little more aggressive, and always that defensive capability. So things getting a little better for M5. They are holding on to about a 2,500 gold and experience lead. It is tied up 2-2, but the Hand of Midas plus finding slightly more efficient farm around the map is boding well for them in this early game. I think the biggest disparity is that Sand King, who's just so much higher than all of the other supports. I mean, look at Skywrath. He's only at 800 net worth as Sand King's been soaking up all that farm in the jungle.
Now they're going to put some pressure on Illidan here. He does have the mana for the Stone Gaze, as well as some mitigation with the Mana Shield. So he'll toggle it on and off. And you don't want to leave it on when you get stunned, because then you can't really control in full how much mana you have to pop your ultimate with. But we'll see if they don't get the jump on him just yet out of the smoke, and it looks like that opportunity is going to be missed, at least until the Invis comes out for PGG. He does have the opportunity to go for another Epi Blink, and might just choose an easier target than the Medusa here. But I agree. I would have to say it's all about PGG's movements, as well as Scandal on the other side. Whichever one is finding more kills with the early momentum they've received is going to be really defining how this game plays out.
Yeah, PGG, Invisibility Rune on. Epicenter has cooled down. Blink Dagger at the ready. He wants this Vengeful Spirit, but just needs to find the right opening, and it looks like he won't be able to find it. OD still being rather elusive in the top lane. Elder Titan harassing as much as he can, but he's happy just to sit back, use that Midas, and be a little more defensive near the tower if need be, as LC did make a rotation up towards the top. Scandal with power treads and 1,400 gold. He's not too far away from his Blink Dagger. Not the best timing we've seen on an LC, but well on his way to a decent timing. PGG will find Go Black, and not going to stun right away. Maybe baiting out a Magic Missile, but needs to be careful as Scandal's on his way in. He'll get stunned up. Scandal connects with the overwhelming odds. There's your swap, and PGG almost gets caught out, but the Stampede will be enough to keep him alive as he burrow strikes to safety and uses that Blink Dagger.
Yeah, Panic Stampede, they just really didn't want that duel to connect, but as Scandal doesn't have the Blink Dagger, I think he was actually clear, but still better safe than sorry there, pulling him out. But it's important to note that this is going to be the 5th stack of neutral creeps that Scandal picks up on the western side of his jungle. He got a triple stack earlier by the help of Godblack, and now he's going for this double stack with the help of this overwhelming odds, and also his passive is really good in this situation. So pseudo jungling while finding kills. LC is getting quite a bit of farm on top of the Medusa. It's not just one or the other. They don't have to sacrifice one's farm just to pull ahead in general. By stacking the creeps and by still getting a couple of good kills, both of them are going to be online and relevant this game.
Yep. Chada's moved back into the jungle here. Almost 1,200 gold on him. I reckon he'll look towards an Aghanim Scepter. Pretty standard stuff. And Blow Your Brain. He's now moved into the jungle with 2,100 gold. Hasn't invested in anything too crazy, but still continuing to pull it up. And yeah, right away, there's your point booster on Tritada. So the Viper is got some nice value items here. And finally, a larger mana pool to use that mech and still have plenty of mana left over to get off the Viper Strike. Maybe a couple of poison attacks, whatever else he needs. Also, King R. He's now found his level 6. Was a little bit delayed on that front, but now has the Mystic Flare. So has that option for some pretty scary damage output. To follow up maybe a Burrow Strike or even just an Astral Imprisonment to set it up, and then have the Mystic Flare to follow to get a lot of damage.
So Blow Your Brain is going to pick up a mechanism on top of the one they already have on Vigos. It's a very interesting decision on my part. The two things that could be, well, three things it could be, is one, it could just be miscommunication. The fact that the Viper has one OD might have not realized. The second one is that they really feel like they're going to be spread apart across the map, where OD could be isolated very frequently. And therefore it needs the mechanism, or maybe there's a duel on one of them and the other one needs the mech to keep the other alive. The last thing it could be is that they really feel they need 2 mech uses in a fight. The way mech works is there's a 25-second period where you can't use the mech a second time, but it's a 45-second cooldown. So theoretically, you could get 2 heals out of 2 mechs over an extended fight, but I'm not sure if that's the most valuable use of this gold.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. It's kind of awkward here. I think the duel mechanic is rather interesting, where they're both kind of susceptible if they get caught out. So having 2 mechs makes it a lot less likely that LC will be able to find just an easy target, the obvious dual target every fight. But I don't know, man. We'll see how it ends up working. I mean, they just have a lot of gap closers, plenty of stuns and follow-up damage. Or even when LC duels, you drop a Mystic Flare on top of him, and chance you can turn it around. Centaur and Sand King blink in and stun, and that's a good defensive ability right there without having to invest in a 2100 gold item that eats a lot of your mana pool.
Well, it looks like a little bit of column A here. He sells back the headdress, maybe looking to turn that buckler that he didn't mean to buy or didn't need to buy into a Crimson Guard. We'll see if that will... I mean, that's pretty good against Medusa, honestly. The split shot can be blocked each individual attack. So there's some value in that, but...
Okay, he does get the buckler. Okay, he put it on the courier. I thought he sold that back as well.
No, that would be a very brash misuse of gold that he's... I mean, certainly that would nullify everything the Midas has given him thus far. But we do see a big movement, so fight breaks loose. Scandal has the blink. Let's see where he goes.
Yeah, blinks forward right on to blow your brain, and there's the duel coming out. Plenty of follow-up damage. McGee even gets a 2x of ulti cast. Makes it an easy duel. Vengeful Spirit gets credit for the kill, but Scandal, he's already up to that plus 30 damage and soon to be level 11 with his creep wave.
Top tower is under attack.
So they're going to be able to take down this tier 1 tower very quickly, and the big deal is that PGG isn't there to respond. He doesn't have a TP scroll on him right now. He is corying it out, but he was hiding in the tree line to the west, got bored, made his movement across the map, and they weren't able to respond to OD's plight.
Glyph it or ticket, boys. Come on, Moscow5. You're better than that. Just delay them by another 5 seconds. It's a freebie. Oh, man. They didn't glyph it, Blaze. They didn't glyph it. They're going to get a ticket if they're not careful.
Oh, well. Maybe we'll just let them off with a warning this time.
We'll have to call the police. You better take care. Merlini's coming back. The chief is going to be back in, or the commissioner, rather, is going to be back in full force. We do have OD now moving into a 4-staff. So looks like he will be able to find use of that Ring of Regen he picked up. So still finding pretty good use out of those mech items. We may see another fight break out here in the jungle as M5 do pull some rotation. Stampede to close the gap. Who are they going to find? It looks like Illidan will be the one left behind, but Stonegaze, PGG forced to turn around. He'll get dueled. It's a kill on the Sand King straight away. Dratada ends up getting turned to stone, and now they'll go in on him. Snake will clip him, but they will just sound the retreat. Astral Imprisonment out on the LC. Scandal takes the hammer from Blow Your Brain, but only takes him to about half health. He'll take a positive earn, gets knocked off, and there's your Echo Stomp on 3. Actually on 4, pardon me. At PGG, he'll have a PGG Epicenter.
I really don't know what to say here. That was the worst combination of using their ultimates that I've ever could imagine. Epping the ground, stampeding to catch up just to get stone gazed, and OD ulting one person that had full HP and a decent chunk of intelligence already. Like, and buying back. Like, I don't know how you do that worse. I'm sorry, I don't want to flame, but that was bad.
Why did PGG buy back? I don't understand. I'm really confused at what just happened there. That was so awkward. Here, whoa, in the mid lane, PGG almost gets caught again. Scandal doesn't have the mana for the duel, but if he did, that would have been a dead Sand King, I think, and another bout of damage on the LC. Oh, Moscow5. They were in the lead for a while here. This was their game, and now Blow Your Brain. He'll find Goblack in the jungle. He's got some friends coming by. They'll find a little pick-me-up as the Vengeful Spirit is destined to go down. She'll get silenced, and Skywrath Mage gets another one up on the scoreboard, but that's a very small consolation after the bout of awkwardness we saw before that.
Yeah, they were both, the Ogre and the Venge were trying to TP to save Illidan there. He was under some pressure, but they aren't really, he's just too tanky. To bring him down with his Lincoln Sphere already up, you have to commit more than just 2 heroes, and that's sad to say, but 100% true. I mean, even with the full Epicenter and Mystic Flare, like, they just don't have damage from 2 sources. They have to commit 3+, and that's obviously difficult for Moscow5, because then you're getting caught by the Stone Gaze, you're committing to a fight that you don't really want to take. Engaging against this Medusa when she has the mana available is a very dangerous proposition. So they get the easy pick, the Vengeful Spirit, but the duels are racking up. Scandal's got 44 now, and It's just 44 damage, not 44 duels. That would be a little bit too much at 20 minutes. But in this position, like, they have to find a new game plan. They have to figure out a way to find a cool flank, a cool surprise attack, go for Roche, something that is the opposite of what we've seen so far.
Oh, duel up top on the Blow Your Brain. Scandal sets it up. Phobos will be here. Will he actually get the duel damage? Just barely. Last second of the duel, and Scandal will get almost a solo on Blow Your Brain. And nice little gold boost there. Already 58 damage. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, we'll see a swap from Go Black. Just barely keeps Lil alive, but will he be able to survive? No, the Doves will bring him down, but still able to get a stun off onto the Skywrath Mage, and that'll secure the kill there. Now PGG on the run. Echo Stomp will put him to sleep. Do they have the follow-up damage to make it happen? Nope, doesn't seem like it. But still a 1-for-1 in the mid is PGG. He goes back in. Tron follows up, Epicenter, and they'll find a kill on DK Phobos. But not over yet. Now Go Black's in. There's the scream, and they'll bring it down onto Tron. So it's a 2-for-2 trade as PGG is forced to blink back.
So right now it's just a little bit of action back and forth. I mean, 7 and 5 is not the biggest kill count at 21 minutes, and that is in general pretty good for VP.Polar. They're still looking to make something happen with Vigos here, trying to flank and engage onto Medusa, but she gets that Stone Gaze out early, and she should be fine. In fact, the duel, the combo I was talking about, they force the direction, they get the bonus damage, but with physical right click, and even Vigos is in a bad spot here.
Yeah, now Viper's going to get left behind. He'll get stunned. Another 2x from Lil. Oh boy, this Ogre, man, he's finding some lucks, and well, it wasn't even trading the mid, but all of a sudden VP.Polar get a great trade, and again Scandal wins another duel. That's 72 damage in 22 minutes. He's up to 2,000 gold now. If he wants a blade mail, he's there. Maybe looking at a BKB. Wow, this is starting to get pretty scary for Moscow5 as VP.Polar have the biggest lead we've seen so far in this match. 4,000 gold, 3,000 experience as they take out the last tier 1 tower for the Dire side.
Under attack.
Illidan just TP's up top for more farm here. PG can't really threaten him directly. The Lincoln Sphere would nullify Burrow Strike, and yeah, he just goes back to the farming. So in this position, if they all VP.Polar have to do is keep their general map control as they have been and start stacking Ancients. If Medusa gets a couple of waves of Ancients on top of this, she's pretty much just set to win the game outright. I mean, the OD can get there eventually, but just with Midas and his interesting itemization deviations, I just don't think that
down bottom. Vigos again, another 2x from this Ogre. Who is this guy? Somebody get him a lottery ticket. Shotado will survive the initial duel, gets off his mech, but just buys him a few seconds. Viper still gets picked off in the bottom. Tron in the mid, taking some decent damage from Phobos and Go Black, but they don't have enough for a kill on their own. But it's just pickoff after pickoff as VP.Polar continue to get more momentum and more space created for the Deuce. She's had her Lincolns up, now has a Yasha and another 1,500 gold all ready to go.
Yeah, so a lot of potential here with Legion Commander picking up the BKB. The Bloodlust works with it now, so that's pretty huge. You can still get that increased attack speed and just deliver a lot of right-click damage here. So any one of these lower HP heroes or lower armor heroes is going to be having a really rough time against this. Helmly Iron Will help out Sand King a little bit, but that only helps mildly alleviate what the Wave of Terror would take away.
Oh, they've got a Sentry Ward down. PGG thinks he's safe, but he's not. Ogre comes in, another 2x, but OD is there. That keeps the Sand King alive. They actually turn it around on the Ogre, end up losing their Sand King as Illidan comes in. Blow Your Brain, caught inside. The Echo Stomp will be enough to bring him down. The Epicenter went through, and well, just not enough to turn the fight around. Centaur ends up getting stapled down by DK Phobos, and it will be another successful team fight for VP.Polar, a 2-for-3, and another 1,000 net worth change in their favor.
Yeah, and I mean, that's one of the better ways they can handle those situations. Eventually, the jump is going to happen. You're going to get dueled, but having the OD there to get the imprisonment off, I mean, that's definitely the best response. But even then, the Stampede, they didn't use it to disengage. The Epicenter was popped. They just tried to get whatever they could out on the field, and they got a little bit of damage out as a result of it. But in general, VP.Polar, even drawing even, are going to be pretty happy with their state of affairs, like getting their farm up. And at Moscow5, they have yet to make anything happen that will change the game. I mean, King R, he's just dipping further into poor man's land with the 3 null talisman build up here.
Triple null tally. You can never have too many. But the OD, he's really the one that's been lackluster this game. We were really hyping up this pick about how good he is against Medusa, how crappy the ink gain is for the Radiant side, but even with this Midas, his farm is kind of lackluster. He's middle of the pack, on point with the LC, and Medusa is about 50% up on him. He's got this hodgepodge build of a 4-staff, casual buckler, and now a point booster. So it looks like he will move into that Aghanim Scepter sooner rather than later. I still think it's a good item build, but he's not even that close to it with only 800 gold in savings and none of the other pieces.
Yeah, I mean, he'll be able to do a huge amount of utility to Illidan, but even if you drain 75% of his mana, what do you do then? You still have to lay into this guy's full health pool when he's got this Lincoln Manta style to just build himself up quite a bit. And in general, it's just they don't have the net worth to actually bring that damage in. So right now, VP.Polar there at 72 stacks on Legion Commander. She's just cleared out an Ancient stack as well. DK Phobos will take a spill here, and that's a nice little pick-me-up, but they're so afraid that as soon as they get a pick and are engaging in a 5v4 situation, or maybe even 5v2, considering it's just TP rotations, they still are on the run.
Yeah, meanwhile in the mid lane, Go Black and Scandal going on. Tritada and Blow Your Brain. Duel from Scandal. He will secure the kill. He even gets the bonus damage. He loses his Vengeful Spirit, but it's a great trade for VP.Polar. Their support Venge for the OD. Meanwhile in the top lane, Lil gets left behind. Tron almost goes down to the tower, but does gallop away with about 200 hit points to spare. And across the map, it will be M5 that come out ahead, getting kind of a 1 for 3 if you want to count that ET to get things started. VP.Polar will throw out a glyph, but tower will still go down, and it is the Skywrath here who gets a little bonus gold.
Yeah, definitely helping in the gold department here. They're going to be able to build up more items on the back of that. The Skywrath isn't going to just be sitting on 3 Null Talismans all game, actually selling one back now for the Ghost Scepter, which is a great pickup to respond to both the Medusa and the Legion Commander. But Scandal's still building up his dual stacks. Is the one to look for. Even if you can rubber band his net worth, you're not going to be able to take away the fact that he permanently has this major damage boost, and he's going to be able to make great use of it as the game progresses. I mean, you can try to kite him with Stampede and Viper Strike, but just blinking in and getting the duel out, he's still guaranteed like 3 or 4 right clicks that'll really ring home.
Well, Illidan down bottom may get jumped on as they're starting to converge. PGG has an ultimate at the ready. Actually has a Veil of Discord complete sitting in the safety deposit box back home. Tron goes in to start things off. Double Edge, Hoof Stomp, Mystic Flare, Epicenter. But Illidan, he's pretty damn tanky. He survives the initial bout of damage, uses the wand charges, will pick him back up. Can't turn it around, but does buy a lot of time for supports to come in. Go Black gets stunned by PGG. Echo Stomp will fly through, connects on 3. King R in the back, Earth Splitter flying through, will hit on just Tritada. Does manage to get off the mech, but now Go Black gets isolated. It'll be a 2-0 as Lil sounds the retreat, trying to make it back to the tower. Takes a poison attack, and he'll be okay as he gets off the Bloodlust. So it is a 2-0, but I think Medusa really showing her stripes there as she lived for a damn long time against a lot of ultimates.
Yeah, there was a small misplay. Oh, okay, we're going to see it continue here. Ogre going to be dropped down, but Scandal's going to get the duel in return. Ooh. And, oh, the defensive Astral Imprisonment. They still secure the kill on the Ogre, but Scandal is the winner in the end.
Yep, and oh, the Echo Stomp, it keeps Scandal alive. He finishes off the Sand King. He'll get clicked down, but it's just not enough. Oh my gosh, Scandal's actually going to live through this.
Are you serious?
Is under attack.
Oh boy. DK Phobos, he's coming back in, looking to make something happen, harassing with that Spirit. Still plenty of hit points left on the tower. May interrupt the TP of Blow Your Brain. Nope, can't get the Echo Stomp off in time. King R, he'll be able to TP to safety, so they'll all make it out after those 2 go down. But VP.Polar with the recovery as Scandal gets some more extra damage and also makes it away to tell the tale.
Now, I still can't understate how great that fight was for Moscow5. They really picked them apart at a time that they weren't ready. The Vengeful Spirit TP came too slow to swamp Medusa out of a bad situation. The Legion Commander couldn't actually get to that spot. She was in mid lane, picked up the DD rune, and got to the fight by the time it was over. Really couldn't commit. I mean, she could have gone for a kamikaze duel, but couldn't actually have contributed to the team fight itself. So there was really good timing movement from Moscow5, but also a slight misplay from Illidan. What he ended up doing, he had a full magic stick, and he would have been able to jump up to enough mana to go for Stone Gaze and go for the ultimate. That might have been enough to get him out. But he still, when he used his magic stick, he still had the mana shield on, so he didn't toggle it off. As soon as he popped the magic stick, you saw the mana came out for Stone Gaze, and then immediately the auto attacks brought it back down. So It got the mana, then expended the mana, and in the end wasn't able to ult himself free. So just a tiny little thing that might have been able to bring the beginning of that fight to a better position. But either way, like you said, Scandal, he still got what he needed, and he survived, which is pretty huge.
Yep. He'll now have a full armlet completed. Courier's flying it out right now. So he's tanking up and now having a lot more kill potential by his lonesome. Veiled Discord on the Sand King has now been delivered, so some more damage output onto PGG, and of course that'll buff up his teammates a bit, the Centaur and the Skywrath in particular, two heroes that are already quite bursty. So I like this item pickup, fairly cool on the Sand King, but very solid here nonetheless. Viper has completed his Aghanim Scepter, so Tritada is a bit tankier, and of course now has Viper Strikes at the ready pretty much any time. OD, how's he looking? Pretty close to the Ags, actually has just enough gold for it, and it'll fly out right now. So this is the key item for Moscow5, and maybe this will be enough to really start regaining some momentum, as that Medusa won't be quite so tanky. Still a 5,000 gold and experience lead for VP.Polar, but Illidan, he's in the front lines here, has a Stone Gaze ready. Moscow5, considering their options, waiting for the Courier, will finally get the Aghanim Scepter. And now, looks like a fight will break out. Will bump into him. BKB by Scandal used. Goes on to blow your brain straight away. Takes a Viper Strike, but will they have the damage to bring him down? They will. Winner comes out for Scandal once more. Earth Splitter helps break things up. And Tritada will get caught inside of the Echo Stomp. Secures the kill. It's a 2-0 out of the gate. But PGG with the ultimate doing a lot of damage. There's just no follow-up. It'll be the death of the Sand King, and that makes it 3-0. They use one of their mechs to... Or yeah, they use their mech to come back. Like, do they have a mech? No, they don't. What am I talking about? There's no mech. They just survived and healed. They're good.
Yeah. The Veil of Discord and Epicenter would not be able to get a kill on anybody there without any follow-up. If there was a level 16 Sand King, that would be a different story. They would have picked off Lil. But as it was, he should have been able to do the math on that a little bit. And yeah, in the end, they come up wanting with that counter engagement. Nice duel, but Tron coming in. Big damage coming out, but
he gets the Aegis. It'll cost him the Aegis, but he still snatches it. Scandal very low. King R does get swapped, has a Ghost Scepter, but Scandal. Oh, Scandal doesn't kill him. It's Skywrath. Oh boy, that's a little bit extra damage going the way of Skywrath. A freebie there, and also ends the streak of the Legion Commander, so gets a nice bit of gold, and that's a solid net worth change for the Dire side. The Centaur coming back. He came back to life, coming in onto Go Black, but blow your brain, caught inside of the Echo Stomp alongside Tron. Illidan dropping the hammer as Go Black does survive. Tron uses the Stampede to try to make it out. Illidan just doesn't have the damage to bring him down. Now Tritada comes in, goes in onto Phobos to be able to finish him off there. The ultimate from OD, draining the mana of Illidan, but they will lose their Centaur. PGG going into the Sandstorm as Illidan, he's just trying to slither his way to safety. Go Black on the high ground, thinking about his options. PGG will scout him out, connects with the Burrow Strike, but Lil's there. Fire Blast, no multi, but creates some space for Go Black and will allow him to survive. Illidan, the tanky mother, is still alive, and she's walking away. The Gorgon will probably survive this as PGG connects with the stun, but gets stunned up himself. Now the Viper Strike from Tritada, but Illidan, he's good. Now, can Lil survive as the Sand King? He's still hunting. PGG wants this. He's carrying a gem right now. He needs to be a little more careful. He will be all right as he uses the Sandstorm to get back to safety, but very risky plays considering he is the gem carrier of the Dire side.
Yeah, but they just really wanted to kill off Illidan, because if you use a Sanity's Eclipse with this Aghanims that you've committed so much gold into, like you pick this hero for this purpose, to drain the Medusa's mana. But if you get that utility out, and then you don't actually get to heal on Medusa, it all feels like it's been for nothing. One big thing there was Illidan actually Manta dodged the hoof stomp of the Centaur. That's such a small vulnerability frame, but he was able to get it off perfectly. I don't know if it's coincidence or just perfection, but that was insane to watch. As well, of course, we saw PGG do some good disjoints with his Sandstorm, so he didn't get picked off. But like you said, he's playing very aggressive and a little bit YOLO, considering he has a Gem of True Sight. Yeah,
but big items are starting to come out on this Dusa. Has the Eagle Song in 2,800 gold, so probably looking for a Butterfly and not too far away from it. And they just have no response for that. They have no Hex, they have no MKB carrier, and what are they going to do to deal with this 35% evasion here, Blaze?
They just got to rely on magical nukes. They have to go again with the Sanity's Eclipse. They don't kill Medusa without Sanity's Eclipse. That's the bottom line. But if they commit the Sanity's Eclipse and then they get all their nukes on top of that, Mystic Flare, Epicenter, etc., he still doesn't have a BKB. So they still have a chance of bringing him down. Once he gets the BKB and Butterfly, I don't see that guy dying. But at least for the moment, there is a possibility with the Veil of Discord and all that amplification.
Yeah, I guess that's true. If they connect with a full rotation from Centaur, Viper drops the hammer, you get a full epicenter for the Sand King, Skywrath hits a Mystic Flare. Yeah, you could probably kill the Dusa, but God, that's a lot to commit just for one hero, and then you still got to deal with this LC who's starting to look pretty ham with 122 extra damage. Even this Elder Titan, he's got a full Sanchin Yasha and soon to be a BKB. His damage output is pretty significant, and when he racks up that extra damage from the Astral Spirit, that staple gun starts to hurt.
Yeah, you pretty much just summed up exactly why Dusa is absolutely incredible in this metagame. That's a lot to commit for just one hero, but the bottom line is she forces it. When she gets to this level of farm, between 15 and 20,000 net worth, you have to commit so much to bring her down, and otherwise she's just going to output way too much for you to deal with. So, yeah, it's pretty insane, but Moscow5, they have this tall order they're looking to fill. So we'll see if we see any crazy stuff, any refresher orbs, any sheep sticks coming out from below your brain. They just need more. They always need more. They need to kind of find a 5v1 or a 4v1 at least against the Dusa to bring her down once. And once they end that kill streak and get that huge kill bounty, maybe they'll be able to build up a Hex to make it easier the next time around.
Now the Bloodlust comes out onto Illidan, so he's hitting fast. Tritada gets multicasted to start this fight off. Stampede flies through, but will it be enough to save the Viper? It's not looking like it. The Earth Splitter will bring him down. Now the Stone Gaze from Illidan. He's laying into him. PGG manages to get off the ultimate, but the damage is pretty minimal. Viper will buy back straight away. They've already lost their OD, and it's a 2-for-0 exchange. Now Virtus.Polar just goes straight for the high ground. Buyback on the OD as well, so it is back to a 5v5 on the field. Some big ultimates have been used on the side of Virtus.Polar. They still have the hammer from OD. Now they'll go in onto Illidan. That's the end of his mana pool. Mystic Flare to fly through. It's enough to bring down the Dusa, but where's the follow-up damage after that? Virtus.Polar will just sound the retreat, make the escape, and M5 showing us that Dusa is still killable, but boy, was that an expensive one, Blaze. With 2 buybacks burned, Virtus.Polar still not that upset with that exchange overall.
Yeah, not particularly. PGG made a pretty big error there, trying to epicenter while facing the Medusa. It's a 2-second channel time to get the epicenter to work. It's exactly 2 seconds for Stone Gaze to take effect. You will, at best, get the epicenter effect emanating around your petrified body, but you're not able to get anything beyond that. You're not able to close. Now Scandal sees a good duel opportunity, looking for it on Below Your Brain.
And he'll find it. That's a lot of extra damage coming his way. He takes a Viper Strike, but now Tritada, he's in some trouble. Remember, Viper and OD just bought back. They'll both fall. They're in the grave for at least 75 seconds apiece. PGG on the high ground getting chased down. Go Black will swap, trying to get in position for the Magic Missile, but just can't do it. The elusive PGG will survive, but now M5, they're in trouble here, Blaze. They don't have the big OD ulti. Medusa's still down, but Virtus.Polar, they couldn't care less. They're going to go straight for the high ground. The tier 3 tower was almost down. Tron comes in onto Scandal. They've got a Mystic Flare, and they'll bring him down. Now they'll be able to hold the high ground as PGG connects with a stun on Go Black, and they won't even need their 2 cores that are stuck in the grave as they clean this up and grab 2 consolation kills.
If the BKB had come out just before Tron's Hoof Stomp, that would have been completely different. The full HP Legion Commander would have just tore through them with that amazing amount of right-click damage. But as it stands, they were able to get the stun, comboed up with King R as he is level 16. There's a lot of magic damage flying out from him, and they do get the kill. In fact, Skywrath went for the E-Blade. I don't know if we've mentioned that yet, but he had the Ghost Scepter before, went for this full E-Blade now, and that means he can use it on allies and enemies alike to try to stop that duel from happening.
Yeah. And with that, PGG will pressure the top lane, and just glancing at the graph, it's sort of that same thing, though, where M5, yeah, they make a hold, but look at that gold graph. It's still 14,000 in favor of Virtus.Pro, and they still got a lot out of that, picking off the 2 cores once more. And looking at the inventories, we'll see Scandal soon to have probably a Heart of Tarask, has himself the Reaver, and still 158 plus damage. Boy, is he hitting hard at this stage of the game. The BKB is completed on the Elder Titan, and even Dusa has 2,600 gold. Hasn't grabbed anything since the Butterfly, but I think well on her way to a BKB, essentially just a recipe away.
I don't know, man. The Skywrath is hitting pretty hard. He's got that plus 18 from the last duel.
Woo! Watch out. He's coming.
But yeah, in this position, they just have to do what they did before to the Dusa and hopefully single her out. They also need to look for Roshan, look for Aegis and Cheese, and try to break off of that. But Medusa was smart, didn't buy back. No rage there. Illidan's calm, cool, collected, and he knows what he can accomplish. But let's see if they get the jump this time around.
Yeah, they're going right in on him. Tron will start things off with the stun, but PGG, he focuses the Ogre. Illidan will be able to survive easily, and even Lil, he survives the initial round of damage. Does end up falling, but here you go. Scandal says, look into her eyes, you silly dog. Blow Your Brain is there with the defensive Astral, is able to drop the hammer, but it just doesn't do enough. They lose their OD. Here comes the ultimate from PGG, connects on 4, a lot of damage on Scandal. It's enough to bring him down, but it costs them their Centaur as well as their Viper. Go Black taking a lot of damage off to the side, but he barely lives. The Doves can't bring him down, and it's soon to be a full 5-man wipe. PGG goes in onto Go Black. Right now it's a 4 for 3 in favor of Virtus.Pro.Polar, and they'll have an Echo Stomp to put PGG in the slumber. Now Illidan will commence the right clicks. DK Phobos coming in, will staple him down, but PGG, will he live? He will, as he moves into the tree line and TP's home. So M5, not a bad fight, but still struggling to kill the Medusa, and they do not find the advantage.
Yeah, I actually don't think that the OD ultimate hit Medusa there because her mana stayed the same. So I honestly think they missed that critical ultimate on her, and
looked like she was right on the edge.
Impossible. Yeah, it almost looked like it hit her, and I was kind of surprised it didn't. But yeah, if the mana numbers don't lie, if that's not moving, she did not get hit by that Axe ulti. So yeah, in this situation, you see the duel. You followed up with the Stone Gaze. How does Moscow5 win a fight off of that? The Stampede away seems to have been an answer for a while, but now we see more pursuit from VP.Polar. They've got the Force Staff up on the Ogre Magi. They've got the Aghanims for the Vengeful Spirit. They can continue to pursue, and it just seems like Moscow5 are going to get chewed apart every single time they look for an engage outside their own base.
Yep, certainly so. Now, second Roche has come up here at the 40-minute mark, 30-22. Still a pretty decent lead for Virtus.Pro.Polar, holding on to about 15,000 gold, 12,000 experience. And they may be looking to move into the second Roche. Dusa has picked up something, and it is the full BKB. Straight up, not on the rocks, and still another 2,100 gold to boot, so she has plenty for buyback. Just look at her with the Bloodlust, though, man. She is laying the arrows into Roche, and this is some pretty scary damage output. Roche will go down uncontested, it looks like. And who's going to grab the Aegis this time? I reckon it'll be Scandal, and yep, it certainly will be.
Yeah, right now, as it stands, the Medusa has everything she needs to survive. When Butterfly's on cooldown, that's obviously not always the case. He uses it sometimes for the flutter movement speed buff. But anyways, as long as he has a BKB, he shouldn't die here. Like, pretty much at all. If he's diving tier 4, diving base, that's a different story. But the bottom line is, even when they drain his mana, he should be able to react with that BKB. They have to chain stun perfectly with the Burrow Strike, with the Hoof Stomp, and you use a Force Staff to pop his Lincoln Sphere just to have enough disable time to prevent that BKB from coming out in time.
Yep, so Virtus.Pro.Polar, they'll go straight for the base. Glyph comes out to keep the ranged Lyrax alive, but they have Illidan on the high ground, and they know he's the tankiest one, so they're not too afraid of it as long as the rest of them can survive. PGG breaks the Lincolns as Tron goes in around the backside, but takes a triple multicast as he goes in. Illidan uses his BKB, pops the Stone Gaze off on the back end. The Centaur goes down. PGG and the Skywrath will get clicked down just by the Dusa. The ultimate from the OD came out. Illidan's mana is low, but they just don't have the follow-up damage at this point. Sand King will buy back. It's still a 5v3 on the field, and Virtus.Pro.Polar will take a more than successful team fight. The Glyph is down, and they'll just continue on and go for another lane of barracks. This could be close to a GG tier, Blaze, as there is no buyback on the Centaur nor the Skywrath.
Yeah. PGG looking for that Veil Epicenter. It is at max level, but they've already lost 2 lanes of racks. Like, right now, they can barely clean up. And actually going to get swapped in.
Yeah, swapping.
GG.
Easy kill on to Blow Your Brain. Tritada, he'll get left behind, but whoa, that's an Epicenter off on the backside. And not enough for a kill. Brings a couple low. Go Black does split off to the side. He lives, and there's your GG. Well played. A noble effort from PGG, but he didn't use the Veil there. Thank you for pointing that out, Blaze.
Yeah, if you want to go for the death Epicenter, you want to just say, screw this game, I'm finishing it with a flourish. You want to kill Godblack and say, suck this draft, go to hell, then you got to at least pop the Veil. But no, this one, I don't know. This was a very, very interesting game. Like, we're talking clicker ticket just for glyphing. I think that they might be charged with drunk gaming after this one. This was this was a difficult game to watch, man. I mean, there were some really good plays. Like, there were some really cool timings with a couple of their abilities, and obviously they did bring down the Medusa once, but in the end, it's a Medusa pick, first phase, that wasn't countered well enough. If BYB had complete free farm, didn't get caught up on that mechanism, maybe there's a shot where they get consistent kills on Illidan, but they have the double threat with the Legion on top, and I really liked what VP.Polar brought, and Moscow5, it wasn't sufficient to respond.
Yep, certainly so. So we'll have a quick break here, guys. Our next game is scheduled to start in about 3 minutes. It is Power Rangers versus KPG. So I'm Diori, that's Blaze. We'll be back after this short break. Thank you so much for joining us here for the European coverage of the Summit 2 by G2A.com.